What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. So hopefully you guys are off to a good start when it comes to pretty much. If you guys didn't join us, we did have our Sunday stock talk. Posted it really late, so many of you in the Eastern Standard Time, I suspect you guys did not watch it. There's a recap, and it is uploaded onto my YouTube channel. So if you guys want to take a look at it, you guys are more than welcome to. I focused on 2 stocks, and we really just talked about the concepts that I was using for every stock that I was trading. I saw a lot of potential when it came to NUGT and with Rex as well. Both stocks had really great days today, although if you guys look, NUGT is closed in the red. That's not really what matters. And I'm going to talk to you about why day trading, it doesn't really matter if it closes in the red or closes in the green, as long as you caught it at the bounce. That's the whole idea of it. So we're going to talk a little bit about my trade on NUGT today. So I, in a sense, replicated exactly what I did on Friday, and I shouted out to the group exactly what I was doing. Was waiting for the bounce. It bounced at $7.66. We determined that to be the new safety. It picked back up, and then I was like, look, it's about to break $8, as that was a resistance. It hit 8, dropped back down, and then broke 8. I had my limit order at 8 because I knew when it was going to break it, it was going to run. Bought at 8, it spiked up 820, 830, 840. Kind of struggled to go above 850 as that was kind of a safety resistance level. And then after that, broke 867 or 868, which was a really strong resistance. And I was like, oh man, this thing's going to go. Hit 879 and then came back down. And I was like, okay, let me just lock in my profit. Sold at 872. And brought in $224 in like 2 hours using the same method, using the same, buying and sell point. So on Friday, I bought in at $8, sold at $865, I want to say. And it's great. Again, use the same amount of money I always trade with. I only put at risk $2,500 every single time I trade, sometimes even less, depending if it's a little bit more risky. With Rex, I had to, we talked about it on our Sunday stock talk. And it was trading at 48 cents. It hit highs of 50. It hit highs of like 58 today. Came back down. So if we're talking about like a true penny stock going from 48 to 58, we're looking at almost a 20% profit. So I didn't hold because it's one of my rules. So we have 3 rules when it comes to Sundays, when it comes to TechBuds, and we only trade stocks that have 10% potential. So what that means is, let's say it's trading normally from $1 to $1.10. It drops down to 90 cents, and it tends to do that, once a month. Based on that analysis and based on the trends of, that stock itself, you can make the assumption that, look, it trades from $1 to $1.10. It's at 90 cents, which it tends to do, like once a month. So I'm going to be buying in at 90 cents in an effort to sell it either at just $1 and, lock in my profits, or an effort to, sell at $1.10, bringing in a 20% profit. Overall, I try to stay pretty consistent when it comes to not getting too greedy after 10%, as a lot of people just start dumping out the stock when it hits 10% profit. But with Rex, I felt like I understood it pretty well. Again, yeah, I should stick to the basics, just locking the 10% and kind of go from there. Overall, because it was a $7.70, it was an $8 stock that I was buying at the moment, I didn't bring in the full 10% profit, but I knew where the resistance level was. So that's why I sold it at that point. I'm going to be sharing my screen so you guys have a better understanding, because me talking about it isn't always just necessarily going to help you. At least for myself, I'm a visual learner. So I think it's better for you guys to actually kind of see what I see and see if you guys can make the same assumptions as me. So we're going to talk about 3 to 4 stocks and kind of what to look out for. Again, these are not stocks that you should invest in. It's kind of just use the same concept I'm pretty much just teaching you on the fundamentals of how to invest and what to look for, and then you can implement that same concept to any stock or any business platform that you're trying to invest in. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right. Well, this is new. I just updated my computer, so that was really new. All right. So NUGT, since this was a really popular one, at least that we were trading. Overall, This is a gold company. Gold after the election, we thought, was going to have a big spike. Ended up having a really big drop, and it was having a consistent drop. We bought in around like the 15-cent mark, and that's when it had that heavy bleeding all the way down. It just had a steady bleeding down to $7. So pretty much your analysis, or pretty much like what you can determine, is that this tends to be the lowest point, at least in this part of the graph. Really doesn't mean too much. Overall, it's safety for the stock itself is right there at $3.38, right around there. But it does have a high of like, thousands of dollars. Doesn't really mean that we're going to get there, but yeah, $3,000. But again, we're day traders, so we want to have a better understanding of kind of how it's been doing for the past month. So what we can determine is that it's had a safety, overall around 730 as the low. And it tends to bounce pretty well at that safety. So, when it hits 730, tends to bounce. That's what we're expecting on this drop down, but it's been holding, it's been steadily increasing and kind of not dropping as low. So that's good. It's showing growth. Again, not caring too much. This isn't necessarily a penny stock, but it's not always a stock that I want to hold overnight, especially because it's been having heavy bleeding within the past 1 to 2 months. I really do believe the bleeding is done, and now it's going to start, because it's holding very well at 730. So I believe it's going to start staircasing back up to the $12 to $15 mark. But we really need to break these resistance levels. So understanding that the resistance, so again, I said that there was a resistance, if you guys watched our Sunday Stock Talk, at 868. And the reason I said that is because it used to be an old safety. So we say old safeties become new resistance levels. So understanding that the old safety was at 868, and once it broke it, it went down. And then now the new resistance is around 868 as the stock struggles to go above that certain point. And then it drops, goes up, and then drops. And then, goes up, and then drops. Understanding that trend, it's what pretty much we predicted, just because of the history of the stock, and it's all on pretty much just probability. So, within the past 10 days, it has not passed 868 every single time it goes up there. Are you really going to, risk $2,500 or, the $300 that you have of profit in hope of, this being that one single time, that it's going to pass and potentially, spike up? No, in the long run, when it comes to being a trader, you want to make sure you lock in your profits and not get too greedy. So understanding the risk, that this is a strong resistance level, it's better to lock in your profit. I'm already, having a really good day with about 8 to 9% profit. Therefore, that's really just it. I bought in at $8, wanted to sell at the resistance, and that's where I put in my limit order at 875 or 872. I apologize. But it hit highs of 880. Therefore, we can determine this as pretty much a new resistance level, as it kind of topped out right there as well. Came back down and held pretty well, as it usually does, at 840. But then the following days, so again, not 100% sure, but the following days it tends to open around the lower $8 mark. So it holds pretty well through the end of the day, around from 840 to 860, and then opens way down here. And then goes, holds pretty well, and then opens way down here. Again, these are trends. You're supposed to learn and kind of in a sense learn from your mistakes, or learn from just your experiences when it comes to trading. So if you could see that it holds pretty well around 840 during the closing hours of the day, and then during market open in the mornings it tends to open very low. That means that those that held overnight, it's pretty much like they rode it all the way down, and they just lost all that profit, or if they were even losing money from there, then they'd lost even more money. Therefore, it is best, when you truly understand and when you're in the green, to lock in your profit and then buy in at a lower point. So wait for the bounce. Again, the bounce that we determined was right here at 866. And we were watching it as it dropped, and this was during market open. It bounced, it hit 766, and I remember when it was climbing up at 770, 775, was gonna buy in, but I saw it hit $8 and come back down, so I didn't want the same thing that happened here when it hit $8, and then I bought in, and it continued to drop, and then just lost money. It could have gone in even lower, and then rode it up. So I played it safe. I knew 8 was a really it was a critical point that once it breaks 8, it tends to spike up based on its history. As you know, when it breaks $8, spikes up. When it breaks $8, spikes up. When it breaks $8, spikes up. So with that, made that assumption. Again, doesn't mean that you have to. Just based on my history when it comes to trading at NUGT has been pretty successful using these certain just methods. Again, bought in at $8, sold at $8.79, locked in $224 of profit using the same thing that I did on Friday. So Friday had this huge drop, opened at $8, came back down to $8, bought in and sold at $8.62 at that time. It hit highs of $8.65. So again, I knew the resistance level was pretty up there, but it hit highs of actually $8.67 if I'm not mistaken. But that's pretty much my analysis on NUGT. So again, when the market opens tomorrow, if it opens, around the $8 mark, wait for the bounce. Don't be, so don't be so anxious to just jump in for no apparent reason. I mean, yeah, you want to make money and stuff like that, but you want to make sure that it's showing upward momentum and that you're going to be making money overall, rather than, you write it up, you write it up for 20 cents and then all of a sudden it starts dropping down and you didn't sell at that 20-cent profit because you're expecting to see, an 80-cent gain. So now you're writing it down and then now you have to hope that it picks back up. So it's better to wait for these critical points as, when it does break those, the volume tends to pick up and you tend to have a higher success rate. Now we're going to be going to, let's see. I'm going to be talking about Rex very quickly. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. All right. Rex, again, being a true penny stock is pretty volatile, as you guys can see. It gets manipulated quite often. Again, I don't feel comfortable holding a penny stock overnight, and it's one of my rules that I hate breaking, and I highly suggest to not break them, as they've led to potential delistings, and then you lose an enormous amount of money that you don't have any control of controlling, and that's the hardest part. So when it comes to invest and when it comes to being an investor, you want to make sure that you can control your risk. And when you invest in a stock that you can't control the price overnight, then you're kind of just leading yourself to not be successful when it comes to, in the long run, trade penny stocks. So yeah, you might get lucky and you might have nice pops like it did over this weekend, but overall it is safer to play the way that we do when it comes to not holding penny stocks overnight, and just try to ride them on the bounce. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. This is a 10-day analysis, so it came down from 30. Obviously very volatile, so from 30, nearly hitting 60. So if you would have bought at 30 and rode it all the way to 60, you would have seen 100% profit, which is great, right? So it did have a lot of potential. These are penny stocks. You can't really determine that or predict that. So pretty much what you have to go off is based on trends. So we're going to do a 5-day analysis, and let's go a little bit shorter. So what I want you guys to see is I today, as of last 8, to do these analyses and stuff last fans. That potential considered buy if D2. You understand momentum. Rex. yeah, sold at because I stuck